This is my channel, Proteus Augustus. I'm an artist, scientist, and American Constitutionist. Earlier today, I was producing a video with respect to personality traits and how I see them shaping the world. Unfortunately, because of the storage capacity of the program or something, the video crashed. I was a little bit, PO'd, so I figured I'd just take a break and look at the subscriptions I have on YouTube. One of the subscriptions I have is from Stefan Molyneux. I'm not sure I'm saying that properly, but he's a philosopher. He has, I don't know, half a million subscribers. He had a rather long video. Usually those are the ones that I don't watch for, because of my time limitations. And but he put down must see, and about how evil has been taking over the world and so forth, and why that is. So I listened. Now, he has a slant that he takes, but I didn't see any real scientific reason why people are susceptible to, this kind of behavior. The way I see it is that people have certain inherent personality traits and have been born with them ever since modern humans have been on Earth. Personality traits that are more strongly egocentric are more susceptible to amoral behavior because they have no trained conscience to keep them in line. Now, Stefan attributes that to philosophical training. That may be so. But one man's philosophy is another man's bullshit. What it comes down to, in my opinion, is the biological diversity of personalities and how they insert themselves in our societal structures. Early on, in an anarchistic society, people would do whatever they wanted, in little tribes here and there. But even in those tribes, you would have the alpha dog. The man that brought in the most game, or the team that brought in the most game, got the most accolades, had more resources, and that gave them stature. Okay? Their personality traits are what allowed them to be such vicious and efficient hunters. Now, as different groups started getting associated with each other, it caused more conflict because you got more alpha dogs. And these alpha dogs want to compete because that's what their personality requires of them, even though they might not understand that. When it comes to women or when it comes to resources, they got to have the most of it. Call it megalomania if you want. They're never satisfied. Now, in order to get some kind of dispute resolution process in place, these alpha dogs, rather than fighting each other all the time, decided, hey, wait a minute, okay, so I kill you, you kill me, or my son, and so listen, we need to work this out, right? So they come up with rules and structure, okay, that pertains to everybody else, not just them. So the more of these alpha dogs at the top want more and more, they have to look to all the beta dogs at the bottom to produce for them, okay, which requires force. Now, in their minds, they have no problem with that because they have no conscience. Now, along comes a guy like Jesus, and he tries to engage those personality traits with his pacifist philosophy. Of course, we know how that ended. Nevertheless, during the time that he had on Earth, he made enough of an impact on the beta dogs that eventually found their way into the alpha dogs, like Constantine and some of these other rulers who succumbed to the conscience that Jesus tried to instill in men, that there could be another way. Unfortunately, those are just transient periods in time, because these personality traits are always reborn. And throughout the course of human existence, a lot of it was not documented. And what was documented basically was warfare. I mean, the Old Testament is basically a novel about Jewish warfare and how they justify the homeland and whatnot. Okay? Same goes for some of the earlier historians when they basically are reporting on what happened and why it happened, but not putting any moral tenet to it. So, as all of these personality traits are reborn, they act on them by trying to seize power in some way. They're not satisfied to be on an equal political level with everyone else, simply because their biology demands it. Now, as rational as man can become, that does not determine whether he uses that knowledge to be a good man or a bad man. I mean, listen, you can be the lock-picking lawyer on YouTube. I can watch him pick all these locks and learn how to pick locks. But does that mean I'm going to go breaking into people's houses? No. Perhaps maybe if I get in a jam, I need to know how to pick a lock, or if my house gets picked, I can tell it's been picked and then take measures to protect myself better. So having knowledge can be used for good or bad. It all depends on the personality trait that engages that knowledge. Another example, we can talk about the nuclear weapon. I mean, Albert Einstein sat down with this knowledge for quite some time. He escaped the Nazis, but some of his colleagues, like Heisenberg, were also working on the nuke. Now, I have my own personal take on this. I don't believe that Heisenberg did not know what the critical mass was or how to get it. I think that he realized that everybody else around him didn't know anything, so he could say what he wanted. And I think in that way he helped save the world more so than Einstein. because he gave Einstein enough time for his personality to kick in and say, listen, even though I don't want to see people be murdered and killed, I have a choice. Do I write a letter to Roosevelt and tell him, listen, this is what I know, this is what you need to do? Because if the Germans get it, that's a worse scenario. So, these two scientists, with their own personality traits, saved the world from massive destruction because they saw that a more conscious, moral-minded society could regulate this technology better because it's going to come out anyway, so they had to make a choice. Now, this is never going to stop. And going back to American constitutionalism, like I said in an earlier video, our fathers knew this just from human experience. I mean, you know, today everybody is so devoid of exploring intellectual pursuits that they just hear what someone says and they think it's true. But in the old days, they didn't need some professor to tell them anything. They were very attuned to the people around them and how the natural progression of people are. And that there are a lot of men and their frailties that will try to seize this country again, or this land at the time. So, like I said in an earlier video, that's why they gave the sovereignty to the people. Okay? And that's why we've lasted this long. However, these personality traits, year after year, are born. They grow. They seek power. And then they pass that on to their children who, for the most part, never shed blood or sweat. So they come to believe somehow that they're entitled to govern the rest of us. They put aside the idea of individualism, okay, and they grasp onto this communist concept, all right? Because if they can convince everybody, okay, that the communist concept of society is better, then they can control everyone with themselves at the top. Because a communist structure works from the top down. An individualist structure works from the bottom up. Now, this is a constant struggle for human survival in a lot of ways. Currently, we're in a position where the CCP, in my opinion, is the new Nazi machine. If you look at their society, they're trying to be racially pure, and they denigrate any other race around the world as being inferior. Now, if they get their hands on AI and use that to develop quantum computing, which will eventually lead to quantum drives, there will be no free men on this earth because their personality traits won't allow it. They believe that they are superior and that a man that is free is a man that's destructive and that they must be kept in line. Okay? Because they can't put aside the fact that what rubs them the wrong way may rub somebody the right way. And as long as it's not, murder, rape, robbery, real crime, they don't understand that what people do socially is really not a threat to them. Or I should say to the society at large. Now, I want to tie this into law enforcement because they're the first line of defense for a communist dictatorship. They always have been, they always will be, going back to the Romans, you name it. It's always got to be a local police force to prosecute the tyranny of the political masters. As sophisticated as our society is today, those personality types are drawn to those positions. They don't know why, but they are. They're a slave to their biology. The reason why America's taken a wrong turn is because mostly the freedom-loving man is a morally based person with a conscience. And it's hard to get people like that to bring down the sword. And while they contemplate to what point that they would fight back, the amoral, unconscious person, I don't mean unconscious in the way of, not being aware, but not having a moral conscience in their mind, holding them back, they are swift to vanquish the morally thinking man because they're too slow to react. Now, somewhere along the line, the politicians in America, over years of, bringing their kids up to take their judgeships and their political positions, and the police up in Boston, it's like you got a grandfather that was a cop, and a son that was a cop, and then the grandson that was a cop. By the time they get to those three levels, they have separated themselves from the rest of us. They look at us as merely people to keep in order, so that they can maintain their control. Now, once these personality types take judgeships, then all is lost. Because you can go into court and you're expecting an objective analysis of the situation and the proper application of law, but their personality traits won't allow it. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've gone to court and act respectively and have been totally trashed by judges, for nothing more than me being a pro se litigant. Who am I to stand up for my rights and defend myself against them and their cohorts? I've got file cabinets full of challenges, so if anybody thinks I don't know what I'm talking about, believe me, I can write a movie or two on the things that I've done to defend myself legally and morally. Not to get off the topic, but as these lineages increase, it's no different than the lineages of royalty. Eventually, they take away our rights little by writing regulations and rules that protect their political party and keep us underneath their feet. This is where we are today. It didn't just happen. Okay? This is how you get these politicians that are trying to destroy our country. First, they're going to defang us, not because of some people being shot, but because they're using that opportunity to defang us. Because they know in the end, if they waken the sleeping giant in this country that voted for Trump, they're going to have to stand against the lead and steel that we have. And when men like me bring that up, we're told that we're racist and that we're tyrannical and all of that. They turn the tables to the point where They are the racists. They want to eliminate Jews. They want to get rid of the white man in academia, um, and politics everywhere. How is that not racist, people? You know? Like I said in my earlier video, race versus culture, Americanism has not rooted in biology, and I'll keep ringing that bell over and over again from video to video. It doesn't matter whether you're black, white, Asian, whatever. What matters is what's in your noggin here. Whether you have a conscience, a moral conscience, okay, that is compatible with freedom, or you don't. So, Stephan went to talk about how people are abused as children. And because children aren't defended by morally minded men, that a lot of those abused children have an option of doing bad or doing good. I disagree. I was abused myself. But my personality traits would never allow me to become my abuser. It's impossible. It's just simply impossible. In my opinion, people who are abused become abusers because their personality trait allows them to become that. I'm going to give you an analogy. Police officers. Like I said earlier, their personality attracts them to that position. So their political masses can pass a totally criminal law. And in their mind, it's okay because they can couch their personality on the fact that somebody passed this law. Okay? So therefore, it's okay for me to enforce it regardless. They put their morality aside for a paycheck because their personality allows it. It's as simple as that. And that's what happens with people who are abused. Okay? Rather, they have the inherent personality trait that is pushed in the direction of they might have been on the fence. Okay? But they're pushed in that direction and there's nothing there to stop them. Okay? I mean, it's kind of like a mind fuck. That's how my brainwashing works. It works against the weak-minded who do not or are interested in the pursuit of intellect. They don't craft a mind to be able to see what's right and wrong, even if it's not from a moral perspective. Like I said, Einstein didn't want to kill a lot of people or be responsible for it. And I don't think Heisenberg did either. And in their own way, though, they had to make a decision. Heisenberg was willing to let his German comrades die. And Einstein was willing to put his moral code aside so that freedom could live. It was a choice. A choice that the world should appreciate. So, basically, that's all I wanted to really say. I'm going to build on this video again because I don't want to go too long because I myself, I don't watch really long videos. But the crux of what I'm saying here is there's certain biological personality traits that people are born with. Okay? And the environmental factors will either push them one way or the other way. Regardless of how much pain Jesus Christ took He stood with his personality and didn't strike out. That's something to think about. Until next time, think free and be free.